Dc2 The Princess and the Raindrops. Soul-touching and life-enhancing tales. The Princess and the Raindrops. Once in a faraway land, close to the desert, there was a very beautiful palace. In this palace there lived a beautiful princess. Her name was Rena. Princess Rena was known to be very vain. Most of the time was spent on her beauty, filling the days up with baths and pedicures and manicures and creams and oils to make her skin more beautiful. Many hairdressers and beauticians were always busy taking care of their princess, and not to forget the seamstresses, because the princess never wore the same dress twice. Every day a new dress was created. Fabrics, creams, and oils were brought in from all over the world in order to keep Princess Rena happy. Once a day, Princess Rena would go out into the palace garden. The palace garden was a beautiful piece of art with many fountains and little streams and beautiful flower bushes and many small orchards with the most rare of fruits. Here she met with other royal members of the family and special visitors. Princess Rena, however, was not very friendly, as she was only busy with herself and actually she just walked around to show herself off, and for that she was not really liked by most people. One day, however, as she was walking and showing herself off in the palace garden and a little daydreaming about how beautiful she was, it suddenly started to rain. The rain came as a surprise to everyone, and everybody hurried towards the palace. Princess Rena was shocked by this happening. Her beautiful black hair and silk clothes were immediately soaked. Her makeup was running down her face and clothes. Then running to the castle, she angrily screamed, "I, Princess Rena, forbid you, rain, to ever come down in my country again." Back in the palace, the servants had to deal with a very angry princess, and after the servants prepared her bath, dried her hair, cleaned her face, she decided to go immediately to bed. She was too upset to face anybody. The next morning, before getting dressed, she wanted to take her usual morning bath. With scared voices, the servants spoke. "We cannot prepare you bath this morning, for there was no water left in the well." Princess Rena became furious and told them to get water from the river. Then she decided to go to breakfast, where her next disappointment awaited her. There was no tea, and the cooks were afraid to come out in the dining room because she had become even more furious. The chamberlain said to Princess Rena, "It will be very hard to prepare any meals today because there is no water, which, as you know, is necessary for preparing a lot of dishes." Princess Rena spoke, "But I have sent people to the river to get water." The chamberlain in a very soft voice said that the servants had come back from the river, which was completely dry, and the ships were standing in the dust. Everybody in the palace had it very hard, for the only thing that Princess Rena did was ranting and raving and being nasty with everybody. The next day the situation even got worse. The sun was getting hotter and hotter. People stayed inside to protect themselves, and trees and plants were already losing their leaves. Princess Rena did not leave her sleeping room anymore, because she could not deal with the situation. For days and days this continued, and around the palace and the village everything started to look like a desert. The supplies for food had ended, and there were no people bringing new fruits or food to the palace. No one wanted to go outside, because of the intense heat of the sun that would make them even thirstier. Inside the palace, however, and also in Rena's room, the temperature was rising unbearable, and the princess decided to leave her room in the early evening, when the sun was setting. But she had to be carried on a stretcher, and felt that she was going to die. Her mind had become quieter, for now she was facing death, and there was nothing she could do. She told her servants, who had a hard time to carry her, as to they were very weak and tired, to bring her to her favorite part of the garden. She had decided she wanted to die in the palace garden, except now the garden looked like a part of the desert. After the servants had put the stretcher down, she told them to leave, as she wanted to be alone. She wanted to cry, but seemingly there was no water left in her body. Her face hurt. Even her dry skin and especially her lips had cracked open. Her body had totally dried out and she was experiencing intense pain. As she looked up in the sky, she could slowly see stars appearing. She saw a black cloud hanging in the air, and then something incredible happened. Colored rainbows shining in the night were coming down from this cloud. However, most of them stopping a small distance above her. But only a few raindrops did not stop at that point, but fell down and landed on Princess Rina's face. This was so refreshing, and not to forget the taste of water on her dry busted lip. And then she remembered. She had forbidden the rain to come down in her country ever again. And at that moment all the floating raindrops came more down and started hovering above her, producing a moist and a coolness which was very soothing to Princess Rina's body. And then, to her amazement, all these colorful lighted raindrops changed into little faces. Smiling and loving little faces. The princess looked at all of them and looked them in the eyes and said, "Oh, I am so sorry. Can you forgive me, Raindrops?" "You are already forgiven, Rina," answered all the raindrops in a chorus. "You only needed to experience what it was like to live without us for a little while. As you have seen, we are very important for life. And the next time it rains, and you don't want to become wet, use a raincoat or an umbrella." Then the raindrops closed their eyes and their faces disappeared, and then it started to rain. Princess Rina, laying on her stretcher, was drinking raindrops from the sky and feeling that life came back to her dried out body. She looked up to the sky and saw that the small black rain cloud had become a huge cloud and now was hanging around above her own country, and everywhere in her country it was raining. All the people came out of their hiding places and everybody started to dance in the rain, and the same happened in the palace garden, where everybody living in the palace had gathered. Princess Rina stood up and started to sing and dance with everybody else in the rain. She was not worried about her dresses and her hair at all this time. Some days later, everything had turned lush and green again. Princess Rina, after this experience, was not just busy with her beauty, but was helping other people, and understood that her position in life was very important to many people, just as the raindrops were very important to life. She lived a long life helping and advising the people in her country, and whenever it rained, she remembered what happened in her life that day. It always made her happy, and she could never stop dancing and singing whenever the rain was falling. What the story could bring us. The story teaches us how quick we are in our judgment when certain things do not suit us, like I hate this food or that food, I hate when it is raining, I hate when I'm sick, I hate that person, I wish I would never see you again. But by hating, we judge that food, and we have no idea how good food is for us. We may not like it at that moment, but when we grow up, we maybe want to taste it again, and maybe it is a very good nourishment for our body. When we say we hate it when it rains, let us see that the plants and fields where all the produce grows is very happy at that moment, because They need the rain in order to grow and provide us with food. I hate to be sick. Sickness is a time of cleaning our body. Possibly there was something not in balance and our body needs to help to clean the waste so it can continue to live. Thanks to the sickness, because it tells us that something is not right, it started to clean. When we hate a certain person or wish to never see them again, it is hurting someone's feelings. We do not know how much good they could bring to us in our life. And oftentimes the people, when we get older and looking back to those we hated the most and had the hardest times with, were possibly our best teachers.